So, as Kevin said, what we'd like to do now for the next sort of 20, 25 minutes is just talk a little bit about how our nine golf waiting list really supports clubs to safeguard sort of revenues for the future. Just a little bit about me. Obviously, those that have been on webinars before would have sort of heard me speaking before. My name's Brad. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Playmore Golf. Key responsibilities, in essence, are supporting the team to welcome new partners into the Playmore Golf network, and also working with our account management team on our existing partners in there, ensuring that we support golf clubs to meet their needs of their flexible membership. I have been in the golf business for, crikey, too long to remember, 20 plus years. Been at the sharp end of the operation, so certainly know some of the challenges you face, and now can help support clubs because I have a good understanding in terms of the challenges you face moving forward with your membership categories. So really a little bit about, I suppose, our white label solution, which is branded under the Roman numerals of 9 and 18. So it's powered by Playmore Golf. And our waiting list product caters for a new segment of the market, certainly with the emergence of waiting lists for golf memberships that have really sort of accelerated, I suppose, over the last couple of years, sort of post the COVID pandemic. So clearly, how could a nine golf membership waiting list support you? So the platform is fully adaptable. So in essence, it's not branded Playmore Golf. It's branded according to your club brand guidelines. You shape how you wish to meet the needs of your waiting list, and we'll come on to kind of what that means for you as the club. We'll certainly deliver you a return on your investment from day one. It's all a cloud-based SaaS system. So in essence, significant reduction in admin time because actually it's powered by technology. So it does mean that general managers, directors of golf who introduce a golf waiting list solution can really focus on the day-to-day running of the golf club, whilst this solution sits in the background and obviously supports clubs to protect their revenues for the future. It will integrate with your current software. We partner with all the main golf management systems, from BRS to Intelligent Golf, Club Systems, ESP, Lightspeed, to name just a few. So our system, in essence, integrates directly with your current golf management system. And it can also provide transaction and account management processes behind the scenes as well. So in essence, we take all the payments and we pay clubs monthly, less our fees, and provide all the reports that are required both for the finance team and for your owners, just to demonstrate kind of what the platform is doing and any returns on investments as well. There's some key things I think we'll sort of cover off today and just hopefully help to show clubs how we support them with managing their waiting lists and also keeping that waiting list replenished as well, I think is really, really key. And also probably not what's on here is actually keeping the waiting list engaged in the club and in club life. So really just want to give a little bit of background to the waiting list product. So ultimately, this is a new product to market, very fresh. So ultimately, what's the market telling us? So why have we sort of decided to bring this product into the market? What our partners tell us, we have a partner in particular who is launching this product. So we got some good insights from them that I'm happy to share with you just to articulate perhaps how this platform helps them. How does the product work? We've got a few slides on that just to sort of talk you through it. Ultimately, how can your club benefit from it? And what returns on investments could you achieve? I've run a little bit of a profit simulator for you just to give you perhaps a bit of an idea in pounds and pence. Well, actually, what could it make me if I chose to implement it? A Q&A session at the end, and my contact details will be at the end of this webinar. So really with sort of some background and insight, I suppose, really. So golf membership waiting lists, I think it's fair to say, have become really more common in the sort of the past 24 months. And our data indicates that there could be as many 600 clubs across the UK with a membership waiting list currently, which I think is a really great sign because actually golf, during that post sort of COVID pandemic boom, golf clubs became really popular and became really busy and as such have put waiting lists in place. So really successful, which is great. And we do speak to many clubs about this subject and get some insights into how these waiting lists are being managed as well. And there are many golf clubs out there who do engaged, and keeping future members always takes over. in essence, I suppose what those clubs are starting to see now are signs of that waiting list perhaps starting to reduce in numbers. So when golf clubs are going to the waiting list, perhaps the names that they thought were there are not there because maybe an opportunity came up at a club down the road and they've sort of chosen to join down there, or they've decided that they don't want to proceed with it and they're just going to sort of pay and play. I think if we advised you that there perhaps is a solution out there to keep the list engaged with the club team, keep the list engaged with the club team not having to do anything, and to keep the list replenished to protect revenues for the future, I guess ultimately, would you want to know more? Well, hopefully the answer to that is yes. So we'll just talk a little bit about kind of how that product might be able to support you. So some of the partners that we talk to at the minute about this solution says, actually, they say to us, look, often months go by without any contact between the club and those on that waiting list. So clearly, sometimes the club can lose that association between the prospective member and the club. And I guess in this instance, the club wanted to change this and ensure that they were engaging with those on the waiting list as often as possible. And at the minute, we're close to having the launch date with them in the next few weeks, but those on the waiting list at this club are going to be given real-time notifications and access to tee times as and when they become available. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So it'll allow those on the waiting list to play and engage with the club as often as possible. And I think the club is really anticipating that by implementing the Play More Golf technology, that's going to enable those on the waiting list to get a taste of full membership. And ultimately, this club has a 2-year waiting list and over 100 people on that list. And the feedback from the general manager at this club is very, very excited to implement the capability with the help of obviously Play More Golf as well. That's just a little bit of an insight from one of our clubs in terms of what sort of led them to this position. They were concerned about the list. They were concerned about the engagement and keeping the list attached, I suppose, to them, and have looked to implement this solution to help deliver some of those objectives. I guess, really, how does the product work in many respects? So from the consumer perspective, I'll cover this off first, and then I'll go on to sort of cover how does the club sort of control it. So really, the future member purchases a waiting list membership. Now, this can be done one of two ways, depending on how your club is set up. Some clubs will have a system where those on the waiting list will need to go through an interview process with the club, and therefore the joining up process would happen at the club. So there's absolutely the capability behind the scenes for that to happen. Equally, some clubs will say, I've done the interview process, I'm happy for that member to join. That member can then go and join online on a bespoke landing page, do it all there and then, and pretty much can be done within 5 minutes in terms of joining, paying, and then the club will be notified via email that this member has joined on the waiting list product. So really, the flexibility sits with the club. Once the member has joined, they're issued with a certain amount of credits and points to use at your club. And again, I'll sort of come on to that in a little bit more detail. And then therefore the golfer can play golf on set times and days when your course is quiet. And I appreciate some people say to me, we're really busy. The tee sheet is absolutely really, really busy all the time. And sort of I say, well, if we look at the utilization of that, we can see there are quiet times in there. It might be a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock or a Sunday at 3 o'clock. When there are quiet times and opportunities to allow some people off your waiting list to come in. The beauty is you set those parameters up. So clubs set those parameters up and will only release those tee times that are quiet, and therefore it doesn't interfere with your current members, doesn't interfere with societies or visitors coming in. The consumer books online, so either via an app or via the website, directly into your tee sheet. And we'd like to think that actually by doing this, the golfer is engaged with your club and committed, and will hopefully take up the opportunity of a full 5 or 7 day membership when that opportunity presents itself. So really, it's a really relatively straightforward process in terms of how the golfer becomes onto that waiting list and starts to keep engaged with your club. I think from the club's perspective, and this is obviously really, really important. So ultimately, from a club perspective, you choose the waiting list fee that you want to charge future members from a selection of price points. Our price points start from around about £400 up to sort of £700, but ultimately it's the club that decides, well, how much do I want that waiting list member to pay? And we'll help and guide you with that. We generally look at your 7 day membership price and we agree a fee that would work. Ultimately, the club decides when the golfers on the waiting list could play golf using the quiet times on the tee sheet. So in essence, that's how the matrix works. The points matrix will only be available for the golfer to look at for those times that are available. So it's not carte blanche Monday through to Sunday at all times. There will be set days and set times when a tee time will become available. The matrix, it doesn't have to be a permanent thing. It has to have some structure that sits behind it so those people on the waiting list understand when golf is available, but it can be tweaked and adjusted as we go. And ultimately, clubs decide how far in advance they want to be able to release tee times for waiting list members to play. Clearly not necessarily going to give them the same booking entitlements as a 7-day member. And we're seeing some clubs that are saying, well, actually, I want to release some tee times 48 hours out or even 72 hours out. The key message sent across in terms of how it works, the clubs decide that. And ultimately, clubs decide how long a waiting list member should be on the scheme. And it's really important point to note that this is not a permanent membership. Our recommendations can be from anything from sort of 6 months to 12 months. And it may well be that actually the member's still on the waiting list beyond 12 months. And I guess from that perspective, then the club can take a judgment call as to whether they want that member to continue with it or whether they just drop back onto that list without any playing entitlements. So there is lots of flexibility in there. So in terms of once that is done, we in essence then go and take your branding and create your club platform, including emails that are all branded as per your club guidelines. We create your club admin dashboard to enable you to manage this list with ease. So if you do happen to have an interview process and like to sign people up directly at the club, you would do this all from your club admin dashboard. We take care of all the integration, so from our platform into your tee sheet, and we onboard your club and train the team in your club who will be using and operating the platform. Ultimately, you pay a license fee for the platform, and then we launch your club and invite those on the waiting list to apply. We can also complete this ahead of launching, and in essence, we pay you less our commission as members sign up. And I'll talk a little bit about kind of just some example ideas of that when I look at the profit simulator towards the end. This just gives you an idea in terms of what the golfer may well see. Clearly, they're not going to see this many times. This gives you an idea of a standard club in terms of a points matrix and what the points values are worth. So in essence, they will see heavily restricted times available. There likely there'll be no morning times and evening times, but certainly there'll be some afternoon tee times in there for the waiting list member to choose from and book. So really, what are the benefits, I suppose, for the club in this? So ultimately, we would like to think it keeps your waiting lists engaged with the club, creates an opportunity to perhaps generate a revenue from the waiting list that isn't currently being explored. And obviously, the club decides with our guidance, based on our experience, how much you're going to charge the members, when you're going to make it available, the booking window for the available flexible member to choose from, and ultimately how many points that time is going to be worth. So you'll get a flavour for, well, if the member has issued X, Y, and Z points, I'm going to make the afternoons, it might be 10, 20, 30 point value. We'll look at that with you and kind of work together to come up with a points matrix for that. As I said, you pay a license fee to set your club up, and then you just pay a commission for every member who purchases this membership. And we'd like to think that the club will be in profit from day one. So there's almost an instant payback for this because people are joining from day one. You've got a ready-made list of members over here that are ready to keep engaged with your club and therefore can start joining from day one. It's not like we have to go and sort of find those members. And we'd like to think that sort of financial security is assured is one as well. So I think if one of your club's objectives is the future sustainability of membership revenues, then I guess hopefully this solution could help meet some of those objectives. I've just sort of given a little bit of an idea in terms of what sort of results could you expect. Now, this is just an idea. Clearly, there'll be lots of different opportunities out there, but this gives an idea in terms of perhaps, well, what could I generate from it? Because ultimately, you're going to want to know what your return on investment is for investing in this platform in the first place. So what I've done for the purposes of this simulator is just assumed a selling price of £412.50. There are other options available, as you can see there. So for £412.50, the golfer gets, in essence, 110 points. Now, the club determines the number of points for each round on that, important to note. This model also assumes that you're going to sign up 30 people from your membership waiting list. Clearly, numbers will vary. It might be lower to start with. Some clubs may only say, I only want to put 20 on it to start with just to see how it goes. so as I can check the utilization, and then I may open it up to more. Others may be happy to add more in from day one. They may be happy to add 40, 50 on there. We know that the average number of members on a waiting list is 60 across the average across the whole of the UK. So you may get a bit of an idea from that as to do you meet the average, or are you slightly higher than the average in terms of your own lists? So what are the costs to you? So in essence, you pay a partnership fee of £2,000. So VAT's got to be added onto that. So you pay a partnership fee of £2,000. For that, including that as the software cost, we take care of all the card fees that are associated with each person joining, and there's no additional payroll to you to run it. So for £2,000, you invest in that, and you get the platform all set up, all the bespoke branding set up, etc., etc. The revenue, in essence, from the 30 people joining, would work out at £9,540. So that's the revenue less the Playmore Golf commission. So out of the £412.50, the club would net £318, and the Playmore Golf commission per joiner is £94.50. So the revenue, the 9,540, is in essence the £318 multiplied by the 30 members on the waiting list. So your profit out of it, so that's your revenue less the partnership fee you pay, you could see £7,500 worth of profit straight to you, keep your list engaged, and hopefully protect those revenues for the future as well. It also, perhaps the platform gives you an opportunity to replenish that list when people move into a 5 and 7 day membership. So you've got a list there. The key thing is, how can I keep this list replenished into the future? Because ultimately that's just protecting your key membership revenue lines for the future as well. So that just gives you a bit of an idea in terms of what you can return. As I say, numbers will vary. Profit numbers may be higher, certain profit numbers may be lower. I think the key message to send across is, it's understanding that actually there's an opportunity to generate some profit. That may not be your key driver, because clearly the key driver may be keeping that waiting list engaged, but there's an opportunity to generate extra profit into the club, and an extra contribution into the club by monetizing your waiting list. That sort of brings an end to sort of the presentation, just sort of coming up to sort of 20 minutes now. I've sort of had just a couple of questions, I think, from people as I've been speaking to them. I'm happy to sort of share with people, and then I'll check in with Kerry just to see if any other questions have been raised previously. But certainly one question I do get from certain people is, Brad, I'm really, really busy. So how does this work if my T-sheet is really busy with golfers already? And as I said to them, I says, actually, if we have a look at your T-sheet utilization, you're right, you absolutely are busy. You know, those peak times for you are in the mornings. We can see your T-sheet is really busy because we look at your utilization report together, and we can see up to 12 o'clock you're really busy. And we can see at twilight, sort of the 5 o'clock onwards, you're really, really busy. But actually what we do see is an opportunity in the afternoon, between sort of 1 and 3 o'clock. There's an opportunity there where there are sporadic tee times in there being booked. So we could open up a half an hour slot within the first hour. We could open up a half hour slot within the second hour, just for waiting list members to perhaps come in and play the golf course. So there's definitely, when you look at the data, and ultimately you let that data drive your decision making, then that's really, really key. So that's kind of just how we perhaps respond to that. And I think the other key question sometimes we do get is, actually our committees and our boards and our owners will see that we're really, really busy. So I think maybe nervous about introducing this new scheme. And I think that's absolutely a really important question to ask. And I suppose ultimately we look at this and say, we've been speaking to clubs who had a waiting list of 100 people. By the time they actually went back to that list wasn't 100, it was more like 40, because actually they hadn't managed to keep that list engaged. And therefore lots of people on that list had either joined other golf clubs or decided to go and do something else. So I think ultimately what we say there is, you're absolutely right, you are really successful. We adopt the principles of what I said in the first question in terms of only trying to make available the times that are quiet on your tee sheet. But ultimately we demonstrate that keeping that person engaged means when you do have a slot available, there is a good chance that that person will still be there, and will still then want to join your golf club, because actually we've kept them engaged in your club. So ultimately, it's just a question of looking at it and making sure it is right for your golf club. And it's fair to say this isn't going to be right for every golf club, but it's just making sure that it's right for your golf club. And I think if anybody wanted any guidance and advice and support, we're talking to clubs all the time with that. So I think we are sort of more than happy to sort of provide any help, guidance and advice that any golf club might want with regards to, I suppose, thinking about introducing a waiting list into the waiting list product into the golf club. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Kerry, I'm not sure if we had any other questions from anybody on the webinar at all.
No, not today.
Okay, no problem at all. Thank you for that, Kerry. So my contact details are up here. If anybody would like just an informal chat about anything, please don't hesitate to sort of email, give me a call on the mobile. Happy to have a very informal chat with you about what you might need to consider before introducing it. And again, happy to come and see you at the club and perhaps take you through some of the platform functionality that we provide as well. So more than happy to do that. As Kerry said from the start there, this is going to be sort of recorded. So I appreciate there's lots of people that are busy at this time of year running the golf club. So if you get the chance, it'd be great to sit back with a cup of tea and just have a listen in. And as I said, if anybody wants any further advice on it, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, everybody. Thanks very much for your time. Good luck with the rest of the golfing season and look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you.